the man himself.
Here we are.
So who are you?
Jimmy Bluff. I'm a mama's boy. I am a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm everything and nothing. It's interesting. I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania and made my way out to Utah and then California, and then my beautiful wife pulled me down into Brazil and during the pandemic. So it's interesting you asking me who that person is now compared to 2 years ago, you know, because I feel like I kind of went on that Dauss movie, Becoming Nobody, that journey. So what maybe a couple years ago I might have explained to you who I was and who I am now, it's just like, it doesn't really matter. I'm just a man who really has been on a journey of discovery, of truth, of figuring out how to access the highest level of divine energy and bring that through me to bring as much healing as I can with, you know, a technique that I've been continuing to develop for the last 20 years, what I call advanced muscle reconstruction, surgery without the knife. It's kind of been amazing, man, seeing people change and what I've learned about the fascial system, the fact that, you know, it's become more and more known that we hold trauma, and 98% of pain is emotional and stored trauma. So being a man in the healing industry is also a kind of a unique opportunity because people are kind of confused by me. They're like, I don't get it. This guy's talking about being a divine masculine and he's tatted and he's scary looking. It's interesting because healing is universal. I have, for the last 20 years, noticed a synchronicity between the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. And when I've assisted clients in kind of finding alignment between those three things, who are we? You know, we're a spirit inside this body, this beautiful yet complex body. It's like we're these complicated houseplants, you know what I mean? And it's just been kind of a crazy journey, you know, even all the way down to Texas, where I was here 10 years ago for NBA players and for professional bodybuilders, and now having a beautiful team of some of the highest level individuals around me. It's just like, act natural. It's like, I don't know how to act any other way, nor would I ever want to.
Yeah.
Like, cause like what you see is what you get. And if you don't like that, like, that's okay. I'm either gonna have compassion for you and I'm going to give you unconditional love, or I'm gonna feel nothing, you know? But anymore in this life, I choose to not create any negativity into the field. I've tried my entire life to do my best as I've learned and as I've continued to learn my lessons. I've tried my best to not leave a footprint anywhere I go, and not only not leave a footprint, but also transmute any negative energy with people that I come across. And I mean, essentially that's what I do for a living with people, is help them find their physical alignment and help them release any stored emotional trauma that, I mean, we've got our ancestors in our DNA. It's interesting talking to so many powerful men and bodybuilders and rock stars and billionaires that I've worked with, and no one is releasing some of this trauma. So what's really cool is helping men with breath work and meditation as I release all this stored trauma and all this pain, them learning how to reconstruct their nervous system and not be triggered. So it's just like just a little bit different perspective. When someone can look through a clearer, more loving lens, they're not judging through that same lens where they were holding on to that pain and trauma anymore. So it's been really exciting seeing people's lives change because of a couple-hour conversation and my tissue work. The one emotion that you can only achieve if you have been to such a deep place where you're like, am I supposed to be here?
Is gratitude an emotion?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Gratitude, like just crying, like, but not knowing. That's who I am.
Amen, brother. Thank you.
You can talk about all the trauma. And I can talk about how every time I encountered resistance, I came back here. And I said, I'm going to love the next person more, and the next treatment is going to be better. And when a child comes in with cerebral palsy, or that war hero who had to pull his friends out behind enemy lines, or the drug addict, or the drug addict's mom who just lost her husband, I felt 50,000 plus hours of pain. And I figured out, how can I help that person a little bit better for the last 20 years? And now other people want to learn that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I stayed alive. I wrote a book, Just Keep Breathing, because at one point or another, the only thing I could do was just focus on breathing to stay alive. You know, when I was looking across the table at my nephews after I had been betrayed multiple times and tried Western medicine and like, oh man, antidepressants, wow, that's gonna make me happy. And I was trying to decide to keep from taking a nap in the garage with the car running in my suit because I no longer wanted to be a burden. I thought, I don't know, my blood pressure was 285 over 185 when I was trying to be in corporate America. Very successful from a young age, and I was like speaking in tongues, and I just like was healing people. And I looked across my nephews, and I still have this picture of them in their footy pajamas looking at me, and I'm like, what are my nephews gonna think in 10 years though, if I'm not here? Now, I didn't want to be a burden to people, because I thought I was retarded. I didn't know how to drive a car. I was just Mr. Utah, lost a home, like insane trauma. And of course, you know, instead of healing it, they bury it or whatever. So, and I got mad. And I'm like, holy shit, I've already lost everything. Like, so it really doesn't matter anymore. And I started writing down affirmations, and I started getting angry with God. And I said, okay, I'll go back to Utah and I'll go bankrupt if I'm supposed to be here, show me. And then one thing led to another, and within a year or two, I trademarked my technique. I was in a bodybuilding magazine in 100 countries. And then I just kept asking for more, and I just said, you know, as I continued to go deeper in my own healing, I also discovered who my spirit was. And that spirit has been around since long before this body. You know, and I always have just been on a mission in this life, and over the years, even my tattoos have more meanings as I go deeper in my healing. And I'm on a mission to bring healing to this world, to teach people how to heal, you know, and to hold space for people to heal. Why a client can walk in my office and I can look at his foot, his lower leg, his upper leg, and explain to him, or his arm, what looks out of alignment. You know, why I do that and why people in other parts of the industry do not, I don't know. I can only stay in my lane. And from what I've learned about the fascia, because I'm a workaholic, and with the doctors and some very, very notable individuals that I've been fortunate to work with and come across who have a network in 100+ countries, it's been really cool being at a place where no one has ever experienced it before with anyone that I've ever worked with. And not only that, the people that are learning it, the people that are receiving it, and the people that I'm starting to certify and I'm teaching are all having the same exact results and success. And that's why it's been cool to finally be in a position where people see. Because I haven't shown what I'm capable of online for 10 years, 15 years, no one's seen it. And now in a couple videos circulated, you know, it's like 1 million views, and people are freaking out. And
Awesome. There's a lot of information in there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Sorry, I bounced around a little bit.
No,
but
no, it's good. It's good, and you're answering questions before I ask them, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's been a journey. So it's been cool, like I said, to be in a place where like now like people are like, when can you come to Australia and teach? And like, why aren't you in the UK? And it's like, it's really cool being in a place where everyone's like, okay, what are you doing? And now I'm having to backtrack and like, okay, develop protocols for people and break it down to the simplistic. So it's been fun.
Yeah, man, awesome. It's a little side note. It's like when you discover what you're here for, and you get to do that, especially on a grand scale, like that's everything. I want to ask you, because you've referred to your journey a lot, and I understand that that's a big part of what happens to places where we can truly work our magic and be the impact in the world that we are meant to be. So in chronological order, just so I and everyone else can understand, like what was that journey to lead you to this Jimmy today?
You know, so I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania. My dad owned an asphalt business. My mom was a first grade teacher, high school sweetheart, so just hit like 50 some years.
Oh, that's
And so I grew up working hard labor with my dad, and I loved it, you know, and we did very, very high level work, and all the private neighborhoods and the private camps and all the stuff we were doing, all the tennis courts. So I always had a crazy work ethic. I played sports a lot. We skied a ton. My dad's a Hall of Fame ski patroller, so it was just really amazing getting out in nature and just, you know, growing up near the Delaware, you know, 100 miles north of Bethlehem. So I went to the University of Utah in 2000 and graduated, and went to Utah College of Massage Therapy. And that we started school the week 9/11 happened. I started working at 24 Hour Fitness, and you know, because I was already in the fitness journey, I was already bodybuilding at that point in college, and I went to Utah College of Massage Therapy because I got to University of Utah, and I'm like, why am I drawing pictures of my mom in art class while I'm in college, and why am I doing music, and what? I was like, so I went. Did the Utah College of Massage Therapy, and I quickly realized, like, I'm never gonna work in a spa, never gonna be a massage therapist, you know what I mean? So, but obviously to learn all the tissue work and all the techniques was the greatest time of my life. I aced everything, I loved it. So I went back and re-enrolled at the University of Utah, but I'm like, this is the same anatomy instructor, the same lab, the same everything as the other school. But it was like, oh, we're having a test on Friday. Test on what? The first 3 chapters of what? You know, and I'm like murdering it at 24 Hour Fitness, and because I have the Pennsylvania work ethic. You tell me to call 100 people, I call 100 people. I'm gonna break company records if I actually do what you tell me to. So I found a lot of success, and I realized, like, I'm already earning more than the physical therapist. I'm like watching my dad like kill himself. I've never seen a man work so hard. Such an honest man, you know, and like the epitome of like, he just loved my mom. So I was so fortunate to have that, you know, be a mama's boy, but like, you should have had 50 points. I'm like, well, 42 points isn't bad in a dunk, you know what I'm saying? But again, you know, like growing up humble and, you know, always knowing that like, you probably could have done better. So there's a lot of things I had to reprogram a little bit, like not working 12-hour days because I thought I was supposed to, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, I fell in love with 24 Hour Fitness, and my goal at that point was like this crazy goal to be like general manager before I was 35. I wasn't even able to legally drink. I had my own $10 million facility. I had a Top Gun leather coat, glass crystals, and I'm like, is it worth putting my dad in 150 grand worth of debt? And he's like, no, your goal is to ski, get good grades. And I was like, am I really dropping out of college? My sisters are both summa cum laude, my parents, like, you know, and I joke, like I had bodybuilding trophies, like, check this out, guys. And my sisters are like summa cum laude, master's degree. And it's like, yeah, well, I can feel people's feelings, you know what I mean? So whatever, but, you know, and I just fell in love with business. And next thing you know, they shipped me down to another club, and I was doing incredible closeouts, but like just wasn't passion. And I quickly realized, like, man, corporate America kind of sucks. And I went in mortgages and was very successful, and then was like, I feel guilty earning money when people are paying more for their home in the long run. Like, wow, people actually do this for a living? Like, wow, if we weren't ripping each other off, like, we'd all have a lot more money in the bank. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is horrible.
Amen.
I just like, wow. So my friend opened up a private training facility. I learned really incredible first lesson, never to go into business with friends, but went self-employed the same year. I channeled that, you know, betrayal energy into winning the Mr. Utah Super Heavyweight. So from like 27, I was self-employed, working like 12 some odd hour days. And that's when I also kind of, a lot of very interesting people with friends who were in pain started showing up in my life, theta healers and angelic healers and people with gifts and TPMS meridian tapping and all this different stuff. And they would tell me such spot on information about my body, like Eastern medicine, obviously, like, how do you know that? And I knew some of it from school, but like these people were a whole nother level of like telling me stuff, like, it was kind of crazy. So I started researching it and proving that it was a bunch of BS, and it wasn't. And as I evolved with my spirituality and my own personal healing, the type of clients that showed up evolved. And then my work quickly switched from bodybuilding, fixing bodybuilding injuries, to a lot of seniors and scoliosis and children with cerebral palsy, and like what I was seeing happen in my clients' lives. And like, if I told you stories, I'd be crying here for like the next couple hours. Like, I have so many stories of people whose lives reshaped. Like, it was never about me. Like, somewhere in the last 10 years, I had to learn how to take care of myself, because I thought it was okay, like, to pull 30 cc's of fluid out of my elbow and make sure I had testosterone in me, and like I was flying across the country to drink 2,000 milligrams of caffeine to show up for that person. And some healers are like, so you're gonna die unless you know what I mean? And that's when I took a complete different journey, and you know, went to Brazil and met Maria, and I was like, whoa, holy smokes, and kind of had a completely shift in my entire foundation, you know, because everyone's like, well, how did you get to where you did? I used to have some professionals show up and train with me, and I tell them the story, and they're like, whoa, you're like a rock star. And I'm like, no, don't use that word, because most of them don't live very long.
Yeah.
But you know, where you push it too much and you're like, no, your body can only take so much. And that's before I learned that, you know, you take on energy and certain things. So when I went out to the Amazon jungle, I felt so at home. So anyway, I know I'm jumping around, but yeah, man, you know, I went from Pennsylvania to Utah for college, and then after 10 years in Utah and trademarking this, and had 1,000 or 2,000 clients. I was a ski patroller at Brighton Resort. I was a snowboard patroller, skis. I could hike up a mountain on skis, and I was pulling people off, you know, trails that were injured, and up to Powder, up to here. I loved it. And I just, something about LA or New York, and I just kind of wrote on the wall, and I'm like, I could do a quick trip to New York and book up 100 people in a post, like, so easy. But once I visited LA, I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is where I'm supposed to be. And that's before I realized, like, well, wait, this is the city of angels. You know, it's the center of the universe. During the pandemic, I was fortunate, you know, with how everything aligned. And let me tell you, as far as like prophecy and like alignment and the work I was doing, the work Maria was doing, that's a whole freaking movie in and of itself. But I was fortunate enough for her to be willing to marry me and do a stable union agreement in like a tiny window. And we did it to get me through the lockdown. Next thing you know, the pandemics or the riots going down my old street, like, then I'm in the mountains having my hands blessed, my mat. Like, the story, I just have to laugh, because like, I don't try to tell people they're living like in my movie, but like, my life's a movie, and the way I look at it, we're all living in it. you know what I mean? And it just keeps getting better and better. And the more I travel around the world and see people, there's so much healing that the world needs. And getting to meet Guru Dev with Art of Living, and like how he's changed my wife's life and he's changed my life. And you know, getting to meet a North American teacher, Wakia Vernon Foster, and having this sacred wisdom shared with me, and being able to be a bridge, you know, because you don't hear too much about North American medicine men. You don't really hear about healers out there. Like, why? Like, this is just a lost art to me. The human body is just like a piece of artwork. You know, it stores emotions and trauma, and if we sleep a certain way, you know. So to me, it's simple, but like, you know, obviously complex. But when you look at it from multiple angles, we're just a spirit in a body that holds trauma, you know. So let's just, you know, get used to being comfortable finding our healing. And like, I think one of the problems I have with the world is like, you go looking for healing and you get more trauma from it. Why? That's not necessary. And like my warrior clients are like, I'm gonna go do this. I'm like, or you can go relax, you know? So it's been an interesting process, not only for myself evolving, but also my work evolving and the clients evolving and then the people around me as well. So that's the journey. It's interesting because I went from bodybuilders to see, you know, whoa, the extreme of what I was capable of. And then I went in deep into Hollywood and got Best of Beverly Hills for a couple years, and then went to Brazil and like no one knew me whatsoever. And I still toured the country, but no one knew what I was doing. And now coming back into it from just a different perspective, and like having Maria, it was like everything. Because not only do I have love and a solid foundation, but like she's like 5 people right now in and of itself, and she's overworked, but like I was doing not only that, plus I was doing all the healing before. So it was like, no wonder like clients are like, wow, you're so much more calm and relaxed than before. And it's like, whoa, who was that old version that they knew? Like, he was a little bit testy, low sleep, full of caffeine, you know? So let me reintroduce myself.
Oh man, I love it. I mean, that's a part of how it goes, right? You have that journey, and you wake up and realize like what you've been through and how you were serving, and it may not, you know, be as amazing as it is now, but you've always had this gift, right? And as you've learned yourself,
and I didn't call it a gift. I was on a client's private jet, and his doctor was there. We were talking about the client of mine with cerebral palsy, and I was like, you know, I was kind of referring to the fact that I don't have gifts, and he's like, let me make you a deal. Next time you deny to me that you have gifts, I want you to allow me to punch you in the mouth. And I'm like, okay, buckshot, I see where you're going there.
Effective.
But yeah, very effective. And I'm like, okay, I understand. But I also understand, as the healer, I'm not doing the healing. I've done a ton of work developing the technique. I've done a ton of work cleansing and purifying my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul, and I will always continue that in this journey. But the work, you know, comes through. And that's the big thing when someone calls themselves some spiritual name. They develop this crazy spiritual ego. And, you know, I was telling you before, it's like, oh man, I want to be the divine archetype. And then I look over at Guru Dev and I'm like, look at this beautiful human avatar who is the divine archetype. I get to be me. And years ago in traffic, you know, before I knew I was driving around a Mercedes Lemon, I was driving around this SL 500 like, thinking I was hot crap, you know. I went to get the oil change and found out I had like $7,000 worth of crap wrong. So anyway, but I remember listening to Living on a Prayer, and I was thinking like, man, who do I want to be? I was like, I was thinking about Arnold, and I was like, wow, there's already Arnold. And I was thinking about Michael Hearn. I was there's already a Michael Hearn. I'm just thinking, and I started crying, and I was like, man, I only want to be me, but I just want to continue being a better version of myself. And I think for everyone, I think when you realize like you can find your healing, you get to be vulnerable, you get to release a lot of like what's not yours to carry. And then when you take the step, you realize like, wow, there's a lot of beliefs that aren't mine. Yeah, weird, you know? So I don't work really. And thank goodness for Maria, because like my hands were literally melting because I love seeing transformations. I love assisting people. I love like changing a couple beliefs or assisting people in changing, or at least looking at their own beliefs that have been stopping them for 10 years about some trauma they're holding on to. It's like, when you're ready. And a lot of men now will reach out to me and like, hey, listen, I have this leg pain, but I'm more concerned with when it happened, this emotional trauma I experienced. And the fact that now they're willing to have the conversation, it's huge. Amazing. Yeah. You know, and having resources around me, you know, my wife's studying becoming this incredible Jungian coach. So even small tidbits she'll throw at me like life-changing information. And so many other people that are so impactful in this world that we're also kind of, you know, like Sri coming into contact with as we continue walking this path, and you guys, where you just kind of know you're being supported when the people around you have beautiful hearts. You know, it's just like, all right, so this doesn't work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where's the tour bus? Let's go,
Let's
you know?
go.
Like, so.
Love it.
Yeah.
What is the next where do you see yourself and your business in the next 5, 6 years?
Honestly, I would love to have a lot more good problems having to travel the world and visit practitioners of advanced muscle reconstruction. I would love for a practitioner to be in every country. I'd love for a practitioner to be in every state in America. I'd love for a practitioner to be in every zip code. And the network's there, you know, and there's so many other wonderful modalities out there, but there is nothing like advanced muscle reconstruction. You know, I'm fortunate to have learned so many different Eastern and, you know, Western medicine techniques and travel the world, that this was created through straight experience the whole way through, you know. And as I continued walking the path, different things were continually shown to me. And it's funny, like I used to have rings that I could fit like on my thumbs too after I had my hands blessed the 3rd time. Like I didn't use my thumbs last year. I can't even get, these are all the same size before. This thumb is like 1/8 of an inch bigger than it was. You know, for me, like it was never about my legacy, but Maria and I had the conversation like, do you want children? And I'm like, where are we moving? I'm not going to be the guy and bringing the news every night shouting about the laws or whatever. So, you know, I said I'd rather have, you know, professionals and students everywhere in the world, and I'd rather travel to sacred places and teach healing and receive healing and like just be unconditional love, and try to teach as many people and bring my healing to as many places as want to receive it.
Awesome.
You know.
Was there a moment that this came to you? Like, I have this thing that I can teach
I mean,
the world?
I've been seeing visions my entire life. And I think, you know, you want it so bad that like when you lose everything a couple times, and I mean everything, like start from scratch, like in because of your heart or because of business or whatever, like, not that I didn't believe it could happen, but like, no. Like everything I wrote down when I was in the forest and everything I've written down for the last 10, 15, 20 years, I giggle when like people tell me, hey, what about this? I'm like, I go back in a notebook from 5 years ago. I was like, yeah, I got that download. You know, now it's cool having so many different brilliant people on the team where they realize like, okay, you know, Maria will get overwhelmed because like I'll speak about something and she's like, not yet. And then, but Jesse's like, no. But right here, that's what he's talking about. And I'm like, and she's like, oh, so as we grow the team, we're also learning how to communicate. And what's amazing is like everyone on my team is like crazy genius, and which is so beautiful because like we just get to show up in our own element.
Yeah.
And like I've tried to build this so many times before with people that just wanted to take, that everyone now is just like, hey, I just want to give. I'm like, weird, because I just want to give and you don't want to give, and we just, everyone wants to give, and we get to also work with each other and have this exchange of respect and love and see like, what is the mission?
Yeah.
The mission is to empower people. The mission is to hand people back their power. And my goal isn't to do the work for you, but if I've got to shed a couple tears because you're not willing to, well, hell, let's frickin' grab some tissues. You know what I'm saying? And let's have a real conversation. You know, what are you holding on to? Why are you holding on to it? Where in your body are you in pain? Let me show you, because your leg is pointed that way and this that way, and you sleep, you know, like a ninja. It's, to me, very simple. But again, I'm not trying to earn a living by keeping people in pain. I'm trying for clients to not have to see me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm trying for like literally, please, dear God, take care of yourself so you do not have to see me.
Don't come back. That came up the other day, and I remember that because that is completely different than any other system or set.
Dude, no. When I have my freaking fingers 3 inches deep in an armpit, I'm like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Remember when you're sleeping tonight. So, cash, check, or charge. No, I'm just kidding. But I have this conversation. I almost like, please, just, and I'm talking to people about, you know, it's so funny when I'm talking to pro wrestlers about not being triggered, and they're like, man, no one ever had this talk with me. You know, it's just like, wow, it's just energy. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some of us are so hypersensitive to energy. I didn't know it was a gift. I was emotional. When my Nana passed away, I cried for years. When a girl broke up with me, I would hold on to it for years. I was so hypersensitive. I didn't know that was a gift. You know, I could see energy when I was a kid, and, you know, now with Sriri and Art of Living, like, he has literal programs designed to help you develop those gifts. Like, what? You know, they were trying to hand out medication to suppress that stuff where I'm from. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. So it's amazing, as, you know, as I've continued walking this path, where I kind of joke to my dad. He's like, oh man, I've never seen you so calm and so relaxed before. Like, whatever you're doing down there in the friggin' forest, you know, like, don't stop, you know. And I'm hanging out in the NEP with Vernon and in the retreat center, and I'm laughing because, you know, we just got done with our meditation and breath work, and it's just like, if I would have known about this as a child, wow. It's just fascinating. And that's what's so cool, being able to travel all these places. Why did I go in search of all this? To bring it home to my parents, to help my mom. To help every single one of those people in the last 20 years that could have had just a little bit of more information, including all the people that took their own lives because it started with simple pain before I was even a healer. My past roommates, that the doctor put them on prescription medicine they didn't need to be on because of a leg rotation causing knee pain. Mm-hmm. And then he got 20 of his friends addicted, and 10 of them are dead. So there's a lot of layers.
Yeah, well, the one thing that's obvious is this thing that's growing. It starts
Yeah.
with you, it's growing.
Yeah.
And it's going to disrupt a lot of things that are standard in our world right now, in a beautiful way.
It's so interesting when a gentleman overseas with hundreds of thousands of followers shares my video and tells people I'm an idiot. And I just have to giggle because he does not understand like what I'm doing in a 60-second clip, because if he knew what I was doing in that hour, like, yeah, his world would collapse because he's $250,000 in debt and he hardly has any soft tissue experience. You know what I mean? So I've already seen it, and you know, I'm just trying to stay in my own lane and help people understand. In order to release the fascia and the trauma and change the alignment of the body, you do not have to create more trauma. It does not have to hurt. And if you're not, you know, at least having the conversation about what might have caused that trauma, especially if it's emotionally based, then we're kind of doing ourselves a disservice on just putting people on a bunch of medicines or surgeries they don't need without at least, call me crazy, looking at the alignment and the emotion that started and the pain that started at the same exact time that trauma more or less might have happened. You know, it's the farther I go down this path, emotions tied to everything. I had to give an 86-year-old client permission to allow her family to take care of themselves. She's still working her ass off.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But I just see this 20-year-old spirit, you know, and I'm talking to. It's just like, I love what I do so freaking much. I just honestly, like, when I look in people's eyes, I see everything. I see their spirit, you know, and it's amazing when you can take some of that confusion and organize it a little bit. And you just see people's, like, you let go. It's amazing. I never thought I would be able to experience my own work. Like, this is just gratitude. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, I was out in the Amazon jungle and this insane healing before I did this really intense initiation. And I had to grab a pen and I had to just start writing. I didn't know what I was writing. And the next day I read it. I was talking to my Father, God, through my higher self. I did it. I found you. It's so funny that I had to go all the way out there and scare the hell out of myself, because he's been there all along. That energy. We don't have to define that energy, what it is. But it's so crazy, like being able to walk through hot coals with a smile on my face. So when clients are going through that hell, it's just like, come on, though. Just come on, though. And having people around me everywhere, from my wife to people here, Florida, Brazil, Sriri, with Art of Living in 180 countries, like having these people show up in my network that are bright stars, that it's just like, whoa. So to answer your question, I have seen it forever, but like, I can't care. Because when you care so much, you can't cross that line of empathy. because I felt all of it. I can feel everything. But the minute you cross the bounds of empathy and you start to sympathize for someone, then you start to take it on. And I tried that before. Hey, yo, hey. No. You know, a famous ascended master tried that before, right? So like, yeah, you know, I kind of giggle. You know, I got Yeshua, I got Archangel Michael, I got Mary, I've got ascended masters, I've got saints tatted on me, I've got my parents tatted on me, and it's funny. I chose to show up different in this life, you know, and when I was deep into a healing with one of my people 10 years ago with crazy gifts, and I had ancestors show up on healing, and like 1,300 of them, and Vikings, and there's North American indigenous, and we had an argument, and I said, like, I'm a warrior of peace in this life. Like, I am, you know, it's about enlightening others. Like, I'm not even a light warrior. There's no destroying anything. Like, I'm just simply here in learning, even with my ancestors through coal miners, World War I, World War II, and like, when I had my blood work looked at, I like cried and I was angry, and then I had so much empathy, like, whoa, I'm healing my ancestors. I am my ancestors. And it's so amazing when I talk to people on the phone and I tell them, like, hey, you know the best part of your whole ancestry? Like, you know the most beautiful part of your ancestry? That's you.
Leading the pack.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
We're healing that. And once people understand, like, yo, you're carrying all the trauma of those fools? What the? Yeah, but you know the most beautiful part? You know what I mean? And then you help them feel good and live a life where, like, wait, no one told me I was supposed to, like, roll out in the morning or stretch or kind of sleep in alignment. And like, yeah, I know, weird. I'm telling you. So all of a sudden, like, everyone just starts living a better life. So when referrals come in, it's like, welcome to the family. It's like, I just have friends everywhere. So that's why I can relate. When Guru Dev was 4 years old, he was reciting the Bhagavad Gita, you know, like this ascended master, and they're like, he's like, I have friends everywhere, because like when I look in people's eyes, I'm like, I've seen you before. And I know who I've been in past lives. And I've been a great warrior, but that doesn't mean battles were lost. I've had people see it in ceremony, you know. And my travels around the world, like deja vu. I've done the research. It's so amazing how little people know about the spirit inside the body. Or like what they'd be willing to do to heal the trauma that only this human experience has brought them, let alone like previous ones. You know, like, here's your number, here's your belief, this is where you're gonna grow up. Like, whoa, what? You know what I mean? So I love meeting people from every walk of life, from every different belief, from every whatever. Like, I just love everyone. And it's amazing. The farther I get on this journey, the more people who are recognizing me because they're in search of their own healing. And that's what's cool. Because otherwise, like, I just go live in the woods, dude. I'm always busy. I don't need to be, you know. But if I'm gonna be here, and you want to learn how to heal someone, and you want to learn how to be a divine masculine, and you want to learn how to hold space for someone the way I have created, okay. But it's going to be at the highest integrity, the highest professionalism, the same business my father and his father, the same level of integrity, like protecting the country, the city, the county. Like, I'll be the guardian of the North. Like, whatever you want me to be, I'm going to be genuine, I'm going to be authentic, and I'm going to speak my truth. You might not like it, You might not like my tattoos. That's okay. It's none of my business what people think about me, but as I continue walking this journey, like I said before, man, I'm just trying to be just unconditional love and let men know, like, it's okay to show your emotion. It's okay to be real. It's sure as heck not good to hold on to that. We don't need to discuss what happened, but.
So good, man. So good. You're teaching people to do what you're doing. So it's just this ever extending web of healing.
It's wild. And I've been told that I couldn't. So that's why, like I said last week, I'm like, it was hard for me to hand Maria my phone. And now she's like, shh, mad scientist. I'm like, oh my God, I'm booked out sick. We have all you people. Like, the reason why I'm so busy, and my friends are like, they adore her, and they're like, yeah, you're why I can't get in to see him anymore. They laugh. It's like the greatest thing to ever happen to me. Obviously, and especially with a lot of the trauma I've been through, and again, I was tested during the pandemic, and I would look at her in the morning, and I'm like, and looking back now, she's like, did you know? I'm like, yeah, I saw all of it. But I knew it was going to be work. Here. This is that's all I got. And it's interesting because after having my hands blessed and consecrated, the 2 or 3 times, it was really interesting showing up. Not that I didn't show up before, but really taking the journey serious. And then on top of that, when the videos went viral and 1 million people were sending messages, and I can read all the emotion in the messages. And I try to follow Maria's advice where she's like, remember, everyone else's pain isn't your responsibility. I'm like, but my mom too? She's like, even your mom. And I'm like, But
that's a good reminder.
yeah, I have to remind myself that a lot. But I realized really quickly it wasn't about me. And people started showing up that wanted to learn, and I'm like, okay, well, people have been asking for this work all over the world since I was, online with Flex Magazine and all these pro bodybuilders 10 years ago. The network's been there. Mm-hmm. When I met Tony Robbins, he's like, I've never felt this before. I'm like, yeah, we just met, remember? It's like, messing with him. And he's like, I have a Rolodex of people in 105 countries. And I was like, interesting, and then, Guru Dev, Sriri, asked me for a treatment. He's an illuminated human. I don't know about you, but when I'm around an illuminated human, you ask me for a treatment, I'm like, could you bless my hand? So it was such an honor. And working with the indigenous, they said they never met a white man that could do spiritual and physical healing before. They were just confused, and part of it did come through one of my lineages. It was confirmed, and even 20 years ago, I had people like, what? And just telling me about this journey that I was taking. And it's funny when Vernon is reading my hand and telling me, oh, when you got off your life path, and I'm like, it's just this knowledge, this handed down knowledge that gets to be preserved, especially the North American knowledge. And, Guru Dev, the wisdom that he's allowed me to bring into my life that has allowed me to heal my ancestors and my own central nervous system with breath work and meditation. And what I thought I was getting all along, going to feel guilty at that place, really, I was supposed to experience by getting that myself. The same thing that guy's been trying to tell us all along that everyone wears around their neck. You know what I mean? Oh. So it's again, back to healing is universal. So it's nothing new, but it's crazy. Some of the other modalities out there, I used to drag my friends screaming across the basement floor, and you can get better healing without receiving trauma. That's the whole point. Like, oh, you can push harder. Do you want it to hurt? Like, that's where we're at. Like, whoa, I had a client admit to me that she only felt comfortable in a state of basically anger. So when she'd actually feel comfortable, she would start picking a fight with her therapist. I'm like, well, not here. I literally called her out on it. I'm like, what's up? Are you trying to control this? How about I sit here and you finish the treatment? She's like, I'm not trying to control anything. I'm like, lady, I'm not even touching your arm. You're doing the work. You know, so getting to work with people and like, oh my gosh, making a more permanent change that like so many people are looking for peace, but not willing to do things to feel peaceful.
That's the hard way.
Right. Beat the crap out of me. I want to feel better. I got 30 years worth of trauma. Beat the crap out of me so I can feel good. Oh, okay. Interesting. Great.
I feel like a lot of the questions that I ask, most people have obvious answers with you. So I would typically ask, like, you know, what's the mission of your business, or who is your ideal client, or you know, things along those lines. But
you know, it's interesting. The mission is just to educate as many professionals and clients in as many places that are open to receiving. But at the same time, I don't want to force anything anywhere. You know what I mean? So my vision, like I said, I would love to have a professional in every zip code. I would love to be able to answer all 1,000 or 10,000 of those messages. Yes, I have someone waiting for you who can do exactly what you're looking for, that you saw. And that's what's so cool is, like, people will get on my post and like, oh, you can come see me. I'm like, you don't do what I do. I have to teach you properly how to protect that person, how to touch that person properly, how to hold eye contact. Literally, I have to teach you how to hold space for that person, not just, I'm gonna go, you know, take my knuckles and no. So that's what's so cool, setting the bar for the level of integrity in healing globally. Yeah, I will be in charge of that. Abso-freaking-lutely. I am so tired of like helping to remove the trauma that everyone else is causing people.
yeah,
My entire life. Like, all I do is transmute energy and trauma. I feel it. Like, most days I cry because I feel what my clients are letting go of. So, you know, people are like, what's the motivation? What's the passion? Like, what story do you want to hear? It's not about me. It's like, you know, to me, it's just like this beautiful puzzle. You're like, oh, but there's a couple pieces out of alignment. If you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, now your hands aren't numb. Great, cool. You know, like, or yeah, you know, now you can flex your chest. See, yeah, now your chest isn't glued to your, yeah, we're cool. What? So what's next is educating the world as much as I possibly can on like taking responsibility for your own pain a little bit and like releasing it. And there's a lot of incredible somatic breathwork out there. The Human Garage people have reached out to me, and Certified Health Nut, and so many incredible people that have sent referrals, and we're kind of like, I'd love to have you guys all on a panel, or that's all fine and dandy, but in like the soft tissue world, like I would love to say go see whoever, whatever, but like no one anywhere. I don't even know where I would send someone to do what I do. So it's so interesting where I just assumed all along everyone was doing what I did. You know, until like many years ago, people were tagging me in other people's posts, like, is this Bluff Technique? Because people were like trying to take my crap. Like, oh, I had to send out cease and desist letters. People were like, oh, I've trained him. I'm like, who? It was crazy, like the betrayal and the different things. When people saw me working with bodybuilders all over the world and saw what I was doing, they're like, I've never seen anyone manipulate tendons or ligaments, or like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I just thought everyone was doing what I was doing, you know? So it's really neat, like how far it's come, and like, I'm receiving work in my office from amazing professionals now.
So epic.
I'm in Texas, and I have multiple professionals here that have taken my workshops that are doing incredible work. So it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I was embarrassed in the beginning, like, oh man, what's that therapist? But like, and I never considered myself a massage therapist. I learned in West Hollywood real quick to take those magnets off my truck. But sending mixed signals. But yeah. To teach people how to care about people is what I'm doing. Basically.
So needed and necessary.
Yeah, how to hold space, how to touch someone properly. You know, like the art of touch, the art of caring. Because if you could go to anyone anywhere and you knew at least they cared, you're in good hands. So I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I just simply explain what I do, and they're like, yeah, I need that. I'm like, yeah. You know, like how much you need, I'll let you decide, but probably 12 hours to realign everything. But we can get rid of your headaches, you know, whatever it might be. So it's interesting, so many different people who come to me for so many different reasons, and now having all my practitioners' lives changing, and like having them all of a sudden be able to work with me, become part of my network, be able to charge more, like, and all these other people getting affected from it because I didn't give up. It's literally because I didn't give up.
Yep.
So come back to like, where would I be in 10 years? I got rock stars flying in to see me. I got clients signing baseball cards, their baseball cards. I got NFL legends that are like coming to see me, and like I'm talking and friends with the rappers whose music I was listening to in the 90s growing up. Like, my life's a dream. Thank God I had to deal with all that trauma. You know what I mean? So I could just have compassion and help others, especially men, learn how to receive love, how to be able to receive healing, you know what I mean, and how to find, you know, the warrior in the garden. Because like there is no war. There's spiritual war. But it's a lot of good problems, and anytime I possibly consider like bitching, I just quickly like, I'm crazy? I'm like living the life of my dreams. And you know, like we joked before, like, oh, it's just getting started now. Oh, it's funny. You know what I mean? You think you're an expert, and you're like, I'm just hardly learning anything.
Man, I was gonna say something, but I think I lost it. But I think it's the fact that you've been through all the things, and I would normally like be asking to like unpack these, you know, what did it look like to start over the first time, the second time, or whatever, you know, like unpacking all of these episodes of trauma in your life to understand, you know, what you've been through to arrive at what you are, where you are at today. But unless you want to, I don't think it's necessary.
It's not. It's so cool. It's not that you don't continue to learn lessons. You just learn to appreciate them. You know, and it's one of the first things I talk to clients about, holding on to stuff, and is there anyone we need to forgive? Because they taught us the greatest lessons.
So true.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting, man. You know, like, yeah, you just hold on to so many silly things, so many sometimes material, silly things. I remember like I sold my Ducati for like a $7,000 loss, and I get to Brazil, and I'm like helping Maria pay rent. I'm like, what's your rent? And it was less than my Ducati payment. And we're like living on Copacabana Beach. And I'm like, I'm bored. And she's like, you don't know how to relax.
Wow.
And I'm like, huh? Oh, my ancestors, dude. You want me to build you a fence? Like, that's me relaxing. Like, no, that's not. You know what I mean? So learning how to relax and learning how to be nobody. I got rock stars reaching out. I got NFL players like, I'm in Brazil. Like, I literally got put from here to like, psh, you're nobody, dude. So I actually loved it.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And
For
to
a
the
minute.
point to where people were reaching out like, hey, is everything okay? It was not okay. I was going through one hell of a dark night of the soul, but I couldn't let her down. And like, I had the opportunity at like true love. Like, it was just different meeting her. And like, you know, she'd been this high level corporate attorney. I looked at all the high heels in her closet. I was like, oh shit. She's done a lot of silence retreats and been meditating for 7 years, and she did all the work. And she's a very wise woman, and she had decided not long before I got there, like, okay, I'm ready for a relationship. So here I show up, and like, I giggle because her favorite TV show is like Vikings and 90 Day Fiance, and I show up looking like a Viking. And I'm on the phone with, you know, one of my healers, and she's like, I thought I was going to be talking to you how to going down there. She's like, no, you're supposed to go. So like, I walked away from everything, dude. I sent my nephews my Movado, like my nice watches. I'm like, I don't need this stuff anymore. Like, I'm just gonna wear some linens and just go chill in Brazil. Like, that's what I did. And, you know, the people that I were working with there and that I was doing tissue work, she had no idea what I was doing. And then we got up to the forest, and then, you know, I started working on some of the indigenous, like I said, and that's when they're like, you know, one of the gentlemen who never left the jungle just so happened to be there, the Mariha Kulina. He was basically the teacher of one of the masters who consecrated my hands. So he's all looking at me, and they're looking at me like I'm some crazy military dude, and I'm like, hey, I think they're judging me. And she's like, no, they would never do that. I'm like, well, they're observing pretty hard. So when I got like the third healing that he offered, and he grabs my arms and he said in his language, which got translated, and like, it's like, oh, mm-hmm. He says, you're a medicine man like me. And I'm like, oh, no. He's like, yeah. And he's trying to communicate with me. And it was so cool because he blessed a cup of water with some tobacco, and I drank it. And then he used his mouth like a cup, and I had crystallization and a bunch of pain. And after this healing, it was gone. So he wanted a treatment, and I hadn't been doing treatments in a while. My elbow was about to explode again. So I treated him, and his wife was kind of looking at me all suspect the whole time. Like, they worked like a team. It was so beautiful. Like, meeting someone from a forest, like, they're healed from childhood. There's no trauma there. So they're just the experience was like, wow.
I can't imagine.
People are like, who would you want to meet? I'm like, you've never heard of him, but I want to go hang out with him again. So it's changed over the years. You're like, these famous people, I don't know. I want to go with the spiritual master. Like, hey, Gurudev, what's up? You know, have a sandwich? But it was interesting because during the treatment, when I was working on him, he passed out cold. Because think about someone who channels nonstop. These guys are pure channels. And I've met inventors and billionaires and very high-level successful people who have that same gift but channel it differently. So it's so crazy meeting like inventors or brilliant minds or an athlete who talks about accessing that energy and is one of the greatest linebackers of our time. But like, you're having these conversations where you're like, what? You know what I mean? So it just makes it really, really cool. And then, you know, yesterday or the day before, we were at the farmer's market, and this sweet woman walks up to me, and she's like, I like your videos.
Oh, really?
And
That's awesome.
and I'm like, you do? I'm like, can I give you a hug? And you could tell she was scared out of her mind. And she said, she's like, you know, I want to come see you, but like, you're huge. And I'm like, I owe you a coffee for that. Insecure bodybuilder telling me I'm, you know. And I was laughing, and I said, she's like, who's your ideal client? And I'm like, you are. You are. Like, I just put my arms around her and I hugged her, and I'm like, yo, this is amazing. Like, you're looking for healing? Wow. What are we here for? What are we here for? Because I'll tell you why I'm here. What are the rest of us here for? Why don't we heal? Like, why don't we love? Like, unconditional love. Like, why can't people just see the divine in everyone? I don't understand, you know? And I used to have friends like, man, you think so different. I'm like, well, how does everyone else think? Because it doesn't make sense to me. You know, like, so, yeah, you know, my vision is for everyone to find their healing and come to peace with that spirit, and like realize like the best version of your entire lineage, all 4,094, you know. And I've worked with the indigenous, and I've worked with Hindu masters, and like I've done the research, and you know, like we are the best version of our ancestors. And like how there's still war, and how people profit off of war, and how people profit off of certain things, like I don't understand. But like, I'm not here for money, I'm not here for capitalism. Like, I don't care about that anymore, because when you know, 2008 and the pandemic, like when you come to certain situations where like I had nothing to even do with it if I could have prepared. It had nothing to even do with me. Well, you know what? I'm gonna live free then. Thank you for teaching me on how to live unattached. Because I can travel anywhere in the world and have people who want my healing now. That's what that did to me. It broke me to the point to where I broke out of that shell. I tatted my body. It's like war paint. You know what I mean? And I tatted my family and my angels and my mom's handwriting on me, like, you're coming with me.
I love that.
Bethany Lake Village and like everywhere I've traveled, and Maria wants to get tatted on me. We're still arguing over that. It's like bad, it's a bad omen, but I think what I'm gonna do is put her eyes right here, so she can just like eyes in the back of my head. But it's amazing, because I wake up and like imagine you get a redo, and you're shown these patterns. And you're shown these patterns again, these situations again, but you get a redo. And what if you could do it with no pain? Like, you can't. That's all this life is. Like, every day you get a redo. You know what I mean? And whether you're working with Joe Dispenza or Tony Robbins or Guru Dev with Art of Living, like, we're all trying to do the same thing, become better versions of ourselves. Live lighter, live more wise. Like, it's so funny now, like our bank account, like when we don't care. Because like, I just want to help people, because that's what I feel the best.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've tried to win the lottery and I'm like, I'm gonna give it all away, and my ancestor's like, nah. Not until he's gonna at least keep half, we're not gonna let him win. You know what I mean? It's just like I just don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at a point to where, but like, I also understand an energy exchange. And I understand if I just take away your pain, but you're not willing to help me assist you with keeping it away, or emotionally maybe, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool how my work has evolved just from so much more than the physical, that even like the people who I'm teaching are like, whoa, I felt that energy release, or like, whoa, like it's palpable.
Yeah.
Like, and now science is finally catching up, and like people are like, you're not doing that. I'm like, no, you don't want me to be doing this because you want me to be making up what's possible. But like, no, this is truth here. You just see 60 seconds and I'm not good at lying. I just can't. My hair will fall out or whatever. Like, I can't lie. It's not part of the makeup as a healer. You know, so it's cool just being me.
It's like I want to stand up. That was great.
But it's true. Like, I'm just a black topper from Pennsylvania. My dad's like, oh, you got to stop dropping F-bombs. You're like a doctor. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. But I get it. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, I want to be able to be whoever I want to be. I can be the most divine, pure person, go to a temple, you know, but I can also go to a softball game and hang out with my buddies drinking a beer, because like that's my childhood.
Yeah.
And like that's tatted on me. Like, I love where I came from. Now that doesn't mean obviously I've learned how to spend time with a billionaire and how to act appropriately in a private jet, or what not to say to a forest master because I've said the wrong things before or whatever. But it's just been such a crazy journey that I'm so grateful that like it's all gratitude now.
Beautiful.
Like and it has to be, because if it's not, like, I don't want it anymore. Like if it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel right and it's not high vibration and it's not divine, like there's no room for it in our life.
Yes, love it.
Like, we're going to a comedy club in town, you know, and like we're like, all right, how are we going to stay up this late? That's technically like tomorrow, you know? Like, do we go to bed at 6 tonight? I don't know, you know? So it's
awesome.
cool, man.
So I think just one more question, because you've really like filled the cup.
Hopefully I've not been all over the place. But,
a little, but that's all good. Like,
yeah.
that's a part of it, man. Like, that's, yeah. I love the you're just open and free and like being you, and that's what this is. That's what I want, you know? So my question is, this is all about me understanding you and who you are and what you're here on this earth to be and do for others. What do you see doing with the art that we create together? What do you see happening?
I would love for people to be like, I want to learn that. I can go from a massage therapist and continue walking the path to correcting something, to fixing something, to having a reason for this person wanting and needing to see me. I can elevate my life, I can elevate my career. And clients can be like, holy crap, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Like, every single person I come in, I wish I would have met you whenever. Like, no, it's divine timing. So really, I want to thank you for catching me in my authentic state, so people can feel me and read my energy. Because people come in nonstop. Like, once I looked at you and I knew it. I just knew it. Your energy. That's what it is. Like, you catching me, so people are like, holy crap, you're exactly like, yeah, weird. You know what I mean? And that way they have the information available. Like, wow, there's an entire network, and he's going to teach me how to hold space properly, how to heal my body in between, how to, oh my gosh, plus I can be part of this network, and this entire network clients have access to. So now I've got the clients waiting for the professionals to show up. I've already got the clients waiting. And I've already got, you know, other very high level individuals networks that I haven't even like, hey guys, you know, so there's so many beautiful collaborations that we are ready to create with professionals from all over the world. Like, I have referrals already waiting. And most people have to double or triple their rate to offer my work, which means they're literally changing the quality of their life and like the direction of their life, where they don't have to jump through hoops of fire like I did how many times and lose everything. Like, I can protect them and say, here's everything you need. Hop on the bus. Let's all heal the world together. Let's assist in the healing of the world. And, you know, and like just create so much love and happiness and joy in the process. And the people that are becoming certified through the process of learning the human body and what I do, they're also undergoing a process of going inward. So it's so cool when people actually figure out what we're doing, that they're gonna be like, what? So it's almost like this, and you know, the professionals that are learning from you are like, do you realize? I'm like, I know. Do you even get, I know. And some of my clients, you're like, you're 15 years ahead. And so many people are just like, hey, whenever you need money to be more successful, just let me know, okay? I'm like, oh, okay. You know, it's just like, that's cool that there's so many people who see it. And it's interesting that the world seems like it's waiting for it. Because like I said, you know, I'm looking around like, who, where do I send people to who? Okay, well, hell, I'll teach the world how to heal. I'll do it.
Glad you made
All right,
that decision.
let's go. Honey, you got the dog? You got a leash on? Come on, everyone, let's heal the world. I'll show you.
Love it, man. Well, I'm happy that you made that choice.
Me too. That's why I'm here. And on my bad days, you know, and that's the funny thing, like, no matter how tough life got, like, I always had a client to show up to, and seeing that client's life shift was just like, wow. If people only knew, like, when you have a bad day, odds are you're gonna have like probably a good day, if not one of the best days of your life. Especially if you learn how to think differently and remove a lot of old trauma. It's like life can be dramatically different. That's why I have so much respect for Tony Robbins' program and Changing Your Life, and Joe Dispenza, like, wow, and Guru did with Art of Living, like reconstructing your breath work and your nervous system, but they can't do what I do. And literally cutting that fascia, realigning, removing and assisting in the removing that energy and holding space for people to talk about it. Whether they realize that shoulder pain is, yeah, so when I was a kid on the monkey bars in second grade, interesting. You know, it's just like, you know, I read a lot of the Gabor Mate books, and I had a dream. He waved to me the other night, and it's just like, I am a referral source of information, so I like to help my clients improve their lives, no matter how many aspects of it I can. You know, so it's just cool. Like I said, when you look around and like I'm surrounded by healers everywhere with high integrity. Like, that's what it took for me to be surrounded with love and people who cared. All that? Well, I don't know if they say it in Texas. Well, shit. But no, I thank you for the opportunity to work together, and it's cool, man, because I've been doing this like my entire life, and I will only do this if it's fun. And like moving forward, like I'm not gonna overwork myself and get imbalanced. Like, I know to the extremes that I can take my body. I've done it. It's, you know, Eastern Western medicine calls those different things, but it's so amazing being in such a place of balance and stability am having to go this far out of balance to find healing, what? That I was searching for anyway, right in front of me, and I didn't need half of that. And now I can show people that same path. And like my dad, he's just like, you can't learn this like in anywhere. I said, yeah, but now with all the experience I've had traveling all over the world looking for answers for everyone, like now, like all the prophecies, you know, the white buffalo, it roams the earth again, the white buffalo woman. You know, they speak about the children of the rainbow. And when I was down in Brazil, you know, I'm watching people from every culture, from different countries, North American, South American, indigenous, like all different colors just dancing around the fire. And I got up and I danced for the first time in my entire life. I'm like, this is what it took for me to dance. Man. Why would I hold on to someone's crap when I can just, you know what I mean? People flip me off in LA. You can't go from your home to the gym in LA traffic, where I'm like, compassion. You know what I mean? People, I thought a guy was waving to me, he was flipping me off. I'm like, you. But that's the life we live in.
Yeah.
So, but it's a beautiful life.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And because of human beings like you, brother, we get to spread that. And like, I just have to share, I am so excited. I know I've said it 1 billion times already, 100 times. I am so excited for this partnership, man, to create with you and to just make more people aware of this, and therapists that are out there that are lost in what they're doing or don't really know that there's more that they can do. You know, it's an exciting opportunity.
It's so interesting where people, instead of doing Swedish or what most spas call deep tissue, they could be offering my technique but getting lasting results and more effective results, and putting themselves in a place where they could earn double, triple. And I tell you, it's interesting how many therapists show up to my workshops and they have emotional releases, and they're like, I honestly was questioning my career because I'm so bored just like massaging people, and I'm like, oh dear, you know. So it's wild when like they finally realize, like, wait a second, I have a client come in, I have permission to correct this arm. I don't just have 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like the therapists are like starving because they're bored. How, like, I could do 20-hour days, like if I was just doing normal massage, you know, like, so it's interesting when you talk about the fascial system, you talk about the connective tissue, and like over and over and over, I see the relation and correlation. And people were talking to me 10 years ago, like, I don't have time to write books. Like, I have a team helping me to develop my program because like I do healing all day on people, you know what I mean? So it's just so cool having so many like-minded people around me, like, be on board with the mission. Because people used to make fun of me, like, you know, like that I was dreaming of taking people out of wheelchairs. Well, a woman that's driving to see me tomorrow, like, does that for work. Like, how could you make fun of that? Like, I always wanted something more to believe in. I wanted something positive that had to happen. So where could I find that inspiration? Like, where anymore in the world? I find it in my clients. By handing them back their power, it's like, I had to figure out how to have balance because I could do what I do 24/7 until my hands melt. They did at points, like blood blisters and all that. So it's just, anyway, it's just cool to be able to work with you and so many other talented people that are at, you know, that same level of perfectionism that I am, that you can see what I see, you know what I mean? And we don't have to talk to communicate about what is.
Yeah.
You just
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
And like I said, I said this to the last farmer's market, and this is why I don't go to many, I had Rose and 3 women are like trying to touch me and heal me, I'm like, please, Maria, you know what I mean? And like I said, I had to explain to this client, like, when you have such a big heart and you have, the ability to feel everything, you have to learn how to have a lot of discernment. And it's not fair to say not care, but like have a crazy amount of freaking compassion for people when it's not for you to say what could help someone until they come looking for it. It's amazing that it takes people to like their 30s or 40s before they realize, like, I don't have to be in pain. No, you don't. So stop making your pain everyone else's responsibility, make it your own responsibility. So, and if you want a career and you want to up-level your career, this is the path. I've already done it. You don't have to hurt yourself. Like, please just get on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can all be equals. We're all in a circle. There's no one who's above anyone. But like, let's just all freaking heal the world and like have fun doing it. Who doesn't want that?
Amen. My last question was going to be, you kind of just answered it. If you could say one thing to the therapists or anyone in this group of soon-to-be healers, what would it be to help them understand what their true capability could be?
I've had so many people that once they realized they were a medicine man and a medicine woman, that they just cried at the workshops. And I realized how much fun a workshop was when I'm like, what do I need to take with me? And I'm like, Maria handed me my coffee and I'm like, this is awesome. Because normally I'm Santa Claus with my oil and my sheets. Being able to meet so many people that got into this line of work because of their own trauma and because of their own healing, and the wounded warrior. Like, it is so amazing when these warriors start finding their own healing and they understand as part of this process is finding their own healing and becoming even more powerful. Like, to be the greatest healer in the world, you only need 2 things, I tell my professionals. To give a shit, to care, and to show up. And like, if you work through your heart, you can witness miracles every day of your life. Until you have to create balance. Because if it was up to me, I would just be in ceremony with clients all day. And what else to say? Like, this is the culmination of my life's work. And people are waiting for healing. What? That's almost funny. Like, this is what all that trauma resulted in? Like, that's funny. That's amazing. And that's all I ever wanted was to leave the place better than I found it. And everyone in it. So, like, what are you waiting for? Call your bluff. Right?
Dude, yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy to me. Like, you, instead of going on vacation and drinking, you could come out and just be realigned and fit in your whole wardrobe better. Yeah, now's the time.
Well, man, I think I have all I need to make this
I just
magic
thank you
happen.
for the opportunity. Like I said, like, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, man, that's so good, so good. I love how you're just like, here he is, here's the man, here's the guy. This is what he does.
Yeah, you know, I just want to heal, and once people start learning that it doesn't have to hurt, and like, whoa, like this is going to be awesome. It's time to start a movement.
Oh yeah, we have. Yeah.